To it last night was jam-packed with speakers touting all of the accomplishments of the president and his administration, making a case for a second term for the Pence-Trump ticket. So what was your biggest takeaway from last night?
Well, I think it was a very optimistic evening. I think there was so much going on that was positive. I think it was a real dichotomy, a real contrast with the folks last week, the Democrats. And, we had some great speakers. Very personal in nature, but the most important thing is really this notion, this idea that America is a country of opportunities for everyone. Really positive, really optimistic.
Another topic that was discussed at the convention last night was the economy. I want to play a clip for our viewers, and then I want to get your reaction to that. So let's roll that soundbite.
By the way, take a look at what's happening with the markets. Take a look at your 401ks, which you probably do every hour. Take a look at your stocks. We're very close to breaking the record, and NASDAQ has already done it. You know, NASDAQ has broken the record, I think, 16 times already during a pandemic. Hopefully we'll call it the final phase of a pandemic.
Okay, so we just heard the president last night continuing to pitch the economy. This is something he's been doing since day one of coming into the White House. Do you think, though, that this is still a strong selling point for the Trump administration, given the fact that unemployment climbed by another 1 million claims recently, and we're still in the middle of this pandemic?
Yeah, I think it is. I think most Americans, at least the data that I'm seeing, is they're concerned about jobs and the economy. And they also say that they trust President Trump and the administration more than they trust the other side. And the reason is because before you got to the pandemic, we had more people employed than ever before. We had actual real wage increase, and that was something we hadn't seen in probably 30 years. We've seen stock market gains. That means everybody who's got any money in retirement accounts was going way up. We saw just a tremendous economy, one of the best we've seen in maybe 100+ years in this country. And I think Americans still persist in saying we want to get back out and work. We want the economy restored. And the fact that we've seen about 11 to 12 million people get back to work in the last 2 months, that's pretty powerful stuff. And and I think that's important.
And then, Congressman, I want to switch gears, of course. As we mentioned, the pandemic is still far from over. Your home state of Arizona, though, seeing some positive data, some positive numbers in regards to the virus. Only 300 new cases were reported on Monday, no new deaths. Hospitalizations are also on a downward trend. But we're also hearing from Governor Ducey saying that now's not a time to be complacent. So when you look at the data in front of you and speaking to your constituents, what do you attribute these declining numbers to, and what do you think still needs to be done to make sure this trend continues into the future?
Well, so Arizona's actually been on that downward trend from where we were in early June for, month and a half, 2 months now. And it's no coincidence that really it started before the governor actually imposed additional lockdowns. So I think the lockdowns have done nothing, because the reality is people have just been being very careful, and we need to open this back up. So if I could just offer some optimism, is we need to get our schools back open. That's what most people in my district want. I hear from them daily about that. And so as we get schools open and we get people back to work, you're going to see the economy rebound. And the reality is we've been cutting that hospitalization rate. We've been cutting the case fatality rate dramatically for over 2 months now. So let's get back to work. Let's be Americans. Let's be free. Let's be careful. Let's assess the risk. Let's accept it or reject it, the risk that we're in. But let's let individuals make those choices. And as they do, they're going to make the right choices. I believe that wholeheartedly.
And then one last question before I let you go. From what you've seen and heard and spoken with other local officials there in the state, do you think that Arizona is on a path to reopening the economy and schools, and how quickly do you think that'll happen?
Well, we're on the path. We've got local leaders that have been bucking the governor's closures for quite some time because their citizens want to get back. We also have some weird dichotomies going on where you have parents and teachers polling very high that they want to open up schools, but they have the school boards that are preventing that from happening. So it's still a bit of a conflict going on, but you know what? I believe that we're headed in the right direction, and we're going to get there. And as we loosen up and let Americans, let Arizonans make some of these decisions, we're going to be freer, healthier, and happier in Arizona.